Fundraising company Pledge has been heavily involved in campaigns to support Afghans. A fundraiser called Afghan Airlift raised $2.5 million to get more than 1,000 people out of Kabul. Pledge can raise money fast because it allows donations from a range of platforms, including Shopify, Zoom, and your mobile phone. Joining me now is James Citron. He's founder and CEO of Pledge. Thanks for joining us. Is your feeling that people are interested in donating as much as they were before, but they obviously needs to be easy for them to do so?
It's a great question. Well, thank you so much for having me today, Max. You know, a year and a half ago, when we began the pandemic, literally the reports were one out of three nonprofits may go out of business because of COVID. And literally what we found is that people more than ever want to support the causes that matter to them, but it has to be super easy. So recently we launched the first donate button on Zoom. And you know, Zoom, about 300 million people use it a day. And obviously Shopify and a lot of these big platforms have become so much more critical to how we connect.
And you need to grab them in the moment, presumably, when there's a key moment that they're seeing unfold on TV, they're affected by that. You need to grab them in that moment to make them respond. It's kind of a sign of the times, really, isn't it? We're all living in the moment much more when it comes to media.
No question, right? So we launched the first partnership with Apple Pay. So literally with your thumb now, in seconds, you can donate. So you're watching a story on CNN, you're watching the Afghanistan, crisis unfold. We actually worked with three organizers. These are three individuals in the US who literally had deep ties to Afghanistan, but they wanted to help. And this is, the Thursday right at the beginning of the fall of Afghanistan. They used Pledge and in 48 hours raised over $1.5 million to charter the first flight out. And, the impact of what they've done is truly profound. And I think it's not just about speed, but it's really about trust. So a lot of fundraising platforms out there work very differently from Pledge. So we actually we have 2.2 million nonprofits around the world. So you can fundraise now for any nonprofit in hundreds of countries around the world and ensure your funds actually go to the source of what you intend to do. And then you actually get feedback. So, the $1.5 million that was raised in the first 72 hours is now over $2.5 million. And for every donor, you actually know that 1,380 people have been safely evacuated out of Kabul and Afghanistan.
The challenge often with platforms like your own is that people are slightly suspicious about where you're making money. So be transparent with us about how you make money or how you use the information and make money from that. Where does your funding come from?
Transparency is absolutely key. You're exactly right, Max. And so different from a lot of other folks out there, we said, let's create a business model that is 100% transparent, that really relies on the generosity of donors. So instead of taking a percentage of the donation, and let me be very clear, 100% of the donations that go to Pledge, that go to our nonprofits, 100% of your money when you use our platform actually goes to the nonprofit. The only thing that comes out of your donation is just the credit card processing fees. And if you want to leave a tip to Pledge, you can. The power of this is now as a donor, your money's actually going to the nonprofit that you intended to. And if you feel like our platform is doing great things and helping you, you leave a little tip for us. And by the way, this is working great. And it also does two things. One, it ensures the donor knows where their money goes, but it also makes our platform so accessible. So small nonprofits everywhere in the world can use the Pledge technology platform without having to take money out of their mission to pay for our software.
But presumably you're gathering pretty good data as well, and there's value in that.
Yeah, there's no question there's a ton of value in the data, but what that data does is it helps nonprofits be more successful, and it actually helps our corporate partners. And let me explain that for a minute. Today, if you're running a company, you have to do good, right? Your employees, your customers expect you to stand for more than just creating a great product. And by embedding Pledge into your company's ethos and into your technology, like we did with Zoom, like we've done with Shopify, Evite, so many other brands, Discovery, what you're doing is you're helping your customers, employees actually do good and serve a higher purpose by tying themselves to the brands, but you're also creating attachment to that brand as well.
Okay. James Citron, founder and CEO of Pledge, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.